Hello and welcome to the Tarkus Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be discussing my Smart Travel bike. I bought it on Amazon back on July 10th of 2023, so I haven't even owned it a full year yet. Currently right now I've got 1,100 miles on the bike. The bike is electric. It will go up to, they say it will go up to 32 miles per hour. That's on a flat surface, no wind conditions. And I imagine you probably got to be under, I would say, 200 pounds if you want to get that type of speed out of it. But, you know, the speed and the duration of the battery is always going to be determined on the factors of how many hills you hit, how heavy you are, how much wind conditions you hit. But overall, 32 miles an hour seems to be an accurate depiction of how fast the bike will go normally. With that said, that there's no governor on it. There's nothing that slows the bike down on hills unless you apply the brake. So on some hills here in Grand Isle, I can get this bike up to 52 miles an hour. And this speedometer on the bike doesn't tell me that. It caps out at 32 miles an hour. Or actually, I think it caps out at 34 miles an hour. My GPS tracker for my smartwatch and my GPS tracker that I have on my phone, that is actually a bicycle one, has told me that you just hit this much miles per hour, and it tells me where on the map I've hit that. It's always at the two top hills. And what's nice about it is the two hills I'm talking about, I actually hit them and I'm able to go down them, and then I can take another route home and not hit that hill again, having to go up it. Not to say that this bike can't go up hills very well. I actually did a video on dead stop. It's in my playlist on where I started a dead stop on a hill, how fast it actually went, and how quickly it went up a very aggressive hill. I'll provide my playlist below. I have been featuring this bike, since July, and I've got a multitude of videos around this bike, me driving it, me talking about it, me putting it through its paces. Let me talk about putting it through its paces. This thing is a tank. I have come down on this thing. I hit an ice patch about 3 months ago. I came down on this thing hard. The handlebar was all meckled, and the whole system was not in good condition. And it did not take me long to bend things, that needed to be bent back and whatnot. And the thing just functions just fine. I've got a little scraping. When I say bent back, I come down on the handlebar and the brake kind of switched underneath. The thing was crooked. The handlebar was crooked. I mean, I think I was coming down one of those aggressive hills doing about 40 miles an hour, and I hit an ice patch, and I just went. Now, I have come down on my motorcycle many times. I've been in numerous motorcycle accidents in my life. And the ones that I'm talking about were not, I was a victim of someone hitting me. I was in the right. Someone drove into me. So I've been hit. I actually was hit by a vehicle when I was at a stoplight. I was actually feet down on a stoplight. Guy hit me from behind doing 45 miles an hour on my motorcycle. So, I've been hit before. So when I came down on this thing, I was able to brush myself off, and it wasn't too bad. I was wearing a helmet. Well, I did have my arm scraped up and my knee scraped up, but for the bike itself, survived it without a problem. Some things were ganky and some things were twisted out of proportion, and I had to twist them back and put them in proportion, but this thing is a beast. And if you followed my channel, you'll know that I've put this thing through its paces through sand, deep mud, rainy conditions. I drove this thing through a hailstorm, and I was able to get home without a problem. I've even done winter weather conditions, driving it through snowbanks. I have repacked, I re-greased the bearings in the back. I took the housing apart, the motor compartment, and re-greased that. I have a video again on that. Again, I'll provide the playlist below. The reason why I'm bringing this up today and bringing it on my channel and giving you eyes on the product on Amazon is you can still get the bike today for basically $1,600. Now it's gone up $200 since I bought it. So when I bought it last year on July 10th of 2023, I paid, I think it was $1,499. Maybe it was less than that. I know it wasn't much more over $1,500 with the tax included. So my benchmark for what I've been tracking my mileage, how much money I spent per mileage, I've done it at the $1,500 mark. So I'm actually doing pretty good because I've got 1,100 miles on the bike already. And it's been my primary bike. I don't tend to drive my motorcycle at all anymore. I use this thing. It's electric. It's easy to charge. It gets me to wherever I want to go on the island that I live on. It brings me to the store. It brings me to wherever I want to go without any issues or concern. And if it's, bad weather, I'll just get my Mustang and drive that to where I need to go. But, this year I'm thinking I might actually sell my motorcycle because of how much fun I had on this bike. And in addition to it being a good way of transporting you from one point A to point B, it also allows you to get exercise while doing it. You can ride this bike and not pedal at all if you don't want to, because it's got a full throttle, or you can pedal it. Now, I will say that if you pedal it or decide to pedal it, you'll get more life out of the battery. So if you just get on the thing and just, turn on the throttle and just go from point A to point B, throttle full only, you might get a round trip of about 35 miles, round trip. Now, you can squeak a lot more miles out of it if you decide to pedal some of the way. The other thing about it is the system has 5 settings. It's got pedal assist 1 through 5. Obviously, each one is slower than the 5th one. I always run it in pedal assist 5. That means I can get up to 32 miles an hour without a problem. If you have it in the other pedal assist, like for example, if you're in pedal assist 1, the bike doesn't go over like 9 miles an hour. Now you could probably pedal it faster than that, but it doesn't for the actual assist, the electric assist. It's going to be like 9 miles an hour, and then you put it in 2, it's 12, 14. You put it in 3. I mean, you basically you can lower the pedal assist ratio to save battery life. So for example, when they say this bike can get up to 80 miles, round trip, they mean on pedal assist 1. And that's what they mean when they say that it can get up to 80 round trip miles, meaning going to where you want to go and come back 80 miles. Because, it would be, you don't want to think about it as a one-way trip, because if you get to where you're going and the battery's dead, then you're going to have to pedal the thing all the way home. And you don't want to do that with this bike. Pedaling it with the electric component running is the best way to go. It is basically a 1-gear bike, like a child's bike, one of those bikes that they do tricks on. That's what it ends up being, but on the heavier side. This thing, I did a video a month ago where I ran this into a snowbank, and I couldn't, I couldn't go any further. I picked this thing right up, one arm, turned it around, stuck it back on the ground, and the way I went. So it's not really that heavy. But if you're concerned about its heaviness, take the key with you that locks the battery in and pull the battery out. So you pull the battery out, you probably have reduced half its weight, then you can pick the thing up, move it to where you want to go, and slam the battery back in. The battery does go into the back end of the thing. Let's see if I can find a picture of that. Yeah, see, the battery slides into the back if you look at this picture, and there's a key that locks it in. Now, the key is unique to the battery. I have a backup battery for mine, so I've got 2 of the batteries. Each has its own unique key. I have 2 batteries only because that's the battery there. I've only got 2 batteries because I like using it all summer long for everything that I need to use it for. So I don't want to come home and not have a battery available to me right off the bat, because it does take about 3 to 4 hours to charge the battery. So if you're coming home, slap a new battery in, pull the old one out, charge the old one while you're off with the new one, and then you always are going. So last year, I never had an issue with not having a battery life because I was constantly charging one while I was using the other one. It is a gem. Like I said, I think I'm going to actually sell my motorcycle. It makes no sense to own a motorcycle that's using up gas unless I know I'm going beyond the scope of what this bike can reach, right? The distance. And at that time, I probably just use my car, my Mustang. It's just the way I look at it is this bike has replaced my motorcycle. And granted, its average or its normal speed is 32. It's really 34. I mean, I think if I go flat conditions and not much wind, and I'm around 200 pounds, that you're gonna be basically looking at about 34 miles an hour normalized with it. If you're heavier than 200 pounds, like on the 300-pound side, it's going to probably be less. You know what I mean? You probably only get 30 miles an hour out of it. I mean, because you've got, gravity and physics and everything else, the heaviness of you working against you. And plus, I mean, imagine if you're a bigger person, you got more wind resistance against you. And I'm not a huge person. The wind kind of whips off me pretty good. It doesn't come with a windshield. It's just basically a glorified bicycle that's which is electric. Now let me see here. It's got the 120 watt brushless motor. It works great. I haven't had any issues with that. I did repack my bearings there. Okay, so let's just look at the two kinds of bikes you can get in this style, because they've added a fashion style. It's actually less money. But if you click on here, I don't know if you'll see if much of a difference between the two, but there is. I think it's just the way the decals are on the bike. So the fashion one is $15.69, and the one I bought is $15.99.99. And they've got 19 left in stock. It says that you can save $300 by buying it off eBay, but again, you'd have to trust whoever it is that's selling it to you off the eBay market. And at least with Amazon, they're the direct supplier, right? So if you have any issues or concerns with it, you can get Amazon to help you through the process. I have had zero issues at all with the bike. I mean, I have done things on this bike that probably are not recommended for any bicyclist, only because I was challenging myself and I was trying to put this bike through its paces. When I'm doing multiple videos on a bike, I ask myself, well, what else can I do with this bike and get it on video? What else can I do on this bike and get it on video and show people how the thing performs? And if you go through my playlist below, you'll see all the craziness I've done with the bike. I would recommend it, hands down. It's a must buy if you're looking for something that looks like a motorcycle, drives like a motorcycle, handles like a motorcycle, and really is a lot of fun. And don't forget the exercise component of it. Now, when I ride mine now, I 100% pedal. I don't use the throttle at all. I just pedal. And what's nice is the pedal works like the throttle. So if it's on pedal assist 5 and you're pedaling, it's acting like you're initiating the throttle. So you're constantly pedaling, you're constantly going, 34 miles an hour. And then, you hit hills going up, you go slower, obviously, really aggressive hills. There has not been a hill I have not been able to tackle on my island that the throttle couldn't push me to. Meaning that I didn't need to pedal. There are some e-bikes where when you hit hills, you have to pedal them or you'll never make it up the hill. I have not found that to be the case with this. It will get you to the top of the hill just on the throttle. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to do any pedaling and you just want to, let it go, go from point A to point B, you can do that. Now, the other thing you want to be aware of is regulation. Vermont regulations are really lenient when it comes to e-bikes. I'm in Vermont. I think I meet the standard of a class 3 e-bike, because that's what they're saying is you've got class 1, class 2, class 3. Class 3s being the fastest e-bikes the manufacturers make, and Vermont allows class 3 e-bikes. And you obviously got to obey the speed limit. So even if the bike can go 34 miles an hour, and if you're in a 25 mile an hour school zone, you best do 25 miles an hour. Don't break any local laws to get to where you're going. But for other states like California, this bike is out of your realm, because you can't run this bike in public areas. If you have a backyard track, or if you got land that you own, because I got a large bit of land that I own. So I use this bike to back road all the land that I own. So I'm able to go to point A to point B through my own property, which is fine. But when you go to put it on a public road in California, this bike's illegal. Because in California, it's 750 watts only. That's their cap. And it only can go like 18 miles an hour. No, I think it's 23. I think it's 23 miles an hour. So yeah, I mean, you just got to determine what your laws are in your state. Well, that's it, folks. Just wanted to talk about it real quick again. I'll be doing more videos of me actually on the bike, me pedaling the bike, me showing you the the mechanics of the bike. I mean, showing you if it's rusting or anything else has been bent, and if we see damage to the bike, I could pretty much explain to you how I did it. So this is a 5-star product all day long. All right, well, thank you for joining me, and this has been the Tarkus Zone.